How's it going, David Comic Book Investments? So, as you know, the Morbius movie came out, and the critics really didn't like it. The audience so liked it, but a lot of people were wondering, what does that say about what is going to happen with the Morbius comic book? Well, let's look at, as we see the Rotten Tomatoes score, but let's see how it's doing at the box office. So at the box office, it had a 74% drop from weekend to weekend, which is bad. So it had the first weekend opened to 40 million. The second weekend, it had 10 million. So 74% drop, that is bad. Overall, domestically, it's sitting around 57 million. Internationally, 69, total of 126. I don't know all the countries that it's opened. Maybe there's still some more countries that can open in. Not really sure. So, but a 74% drop is really, because word of mouth has got out, and yeah, that is not good. You want about a 50% drop from weekend of 1 to weekend of 2. That's really good. 60% is kind of like average. Anything above like 65% is really bad. So 74%, that is really bad, really bad. So not looking good. But here is the silver lining for this movie. This movie only had a budget of 75 million. So domestically, it's almost going to hit that. So usually, rule of thumb is double the production budget, and that's what it needs to make to basically break even. So it needs 150 million to break even. It's going to hit it. I probably see this movie making maybe 300 million worldwide, 275 on a $75 million budget. That's a win. Does that mean it'll get a second sequel or anything like that? It doesn't mean it will, because, like I said, the Rotten Tomatoes reviews weren't very good. The audience score wasn't very good. A lot of people showed up for the initial first weekend, but then it kind of waned. So a studio might, I don't really know. It doesn't look like it has legs, so that's not a good look for it. But it's still profitable. So what does that do to the comic book? A lot of people are asking me, what does it do for Spider-Man 101? My personal take is that it's any Morbius comic book, so Morbius is attached to any comic book, it's going to drop in value. And I'm talking about his earlier appearances or key appearances of him. Not just because he's in a random book is it going to drop. But it's going to drop. A lot of them are going to drop. Spider-Man 101, his first appearance, I think will have a drop, but I think that will hold the strongest. The secondary tiers, third and fourth tiers, those are going to drop tremendously, and they're going to stay dropped for a long time. So if we look at, say, I think this, where is it? Spider-Man 101 right here. Now let's look for April, because it came out the beginning of April. So we have to look at April, because, this one, most recent sale was March. That doesn't count. So here we go. We got April right here. 3,600. If you can see how it's just building up, and then boom, it drops. It drops way down. As you can see, movie comes out, it drops. Look at a 9.0, same situation, drops. Has a little uptick. But let's see, here's an April 1. How does this one do? 8.0 drops. See, it's just pretty much that's what it looks like. Okay, let's look at a 7.0. Small drop, not that big a drop, but I don't know when in April this was. Okay, so the movie had already been out by that point. Let's look at 6.5, massive drop. Just look at that spike straight down. It's going along, and then straight down. Back to where it was a year ago. Just straight, and that's going to be the common theme going forward. Just everything, as soon as it comes out, is drop. Here's a 5.0. Look at that. Just boom, straight down. That is going to be the theme going forward. So here's another one. Drop. Look at all these. All of them. Just, you look at the very edge, it's all drops. Obviously you can see the big spike when it started coming up, building momentum, drop. And that will continue to happen. I foresee Spider-Man 101, first appearance of Morbius, continuing to drop. That's what I see happening. But it's Spider-Man 101, and Morbius is still a pretty big character. He's not just some, the Vanisher. The only reason I said the Vanisher is because I have this X-Men 2 right here. This is the first appearance of the Vanisher. So it's just he's not the Vanisher, right? He's Morbius. He went on to have he starred in a series that was already ongoing, Fear, and then he went on to have his own series, multiple series. So I mean, he went on to have his own movie. So he's still a big character. Spider-Man 101 will continue to drop, but eventually there'll be a time when, if you look, so if you look at here, you can see it building up. Will continue to drop. Yeah, I could see it dropping back to where it was 2019, early 2020 levels. It's almost there already. It'll drop to those levels, and then it'll kind of, stay there for a little bit, but then it'll go back up. That's what I see happening. Me personally, unless it's a good deal, I am avoiding Spider-Man 101s. That's what I'm doing. This is my opinion. So unless I can get a really good deal on it, then sure, because the saying is you make the money when you buy the thing. So you make money when you buy it. So even though it's dropping, if I can get a good deal, then it's a good deal. So that brings me to the next thing. What about the secondary and thirdary, like tiers of Morbius? Well, we got 102. 102, let's see how 102 is doing. This one is doing okay, but it hadn't been a sale in a while. Okay, let's see. A 90 drop at the very end. Here we go. 70 drop. 65, tiny little drop, but not much. But also you're dealing with the book, it's $180. So it looks promising. Like if you look at this, all these greens, but this is a 90-day average. You have to look at something that's recent because this literally came out 2 weeks ago. So this will drop. This will get hit really hard. Another book that will get hit really hard is Fear number 20. A 9.4 just sold. Tiny little drop, not too much. Here we go, a 9.2. Massive drop. Look at that. It was selling in March for a high of $549, and then one just sold for $169. So massive drop there. In April 1, a 6.5 getting cut in third from a high of $146 down to $57. Massive drops. And I mean, you look at this one, it's like, oh, this one's at 100. Well, this one sold back in January. This one was in March for 200. This one for 225 is back in February. So you have to look at recent stuff. So Fear 20, that's where Morbius begins, kind of in his own series, but he was attached to an already existing series. So these books will get, like this is a third tier Morbius. These books will get hit really hard, along with fourth and fifth tier, like Fear number 21, 22, stuff like that. Early appearances of Morbius, but not really keys. Those are going to just be kind of like dead because no one's going to want them. And then they're just going to, go back to what a book around that era in that grade goes for normally. So these books will take a lot longer to recover. A Spider-Man 101, not as long to recover because, like I said, it's a big key. So you don't have to really worry. So that's kind of like my take on what's going to happen with Morbius. A lot of people were asking me after I did like the update. But yeah, a 74% second weekend drop, that does not look good. That means if this continues to, be pretty bad box office, it'll still make money. It'll still make money. That is a guarantee. It's almost there to break even. But that doesn't mean that there's going to be like another Morbius 2. So no sequel there. On a side note, Batman, I don't think it's going to reach $1 billion. I kind of said that to begin with. Its weekend was in the 5th spot with only $6 million for the weekend. It's been out for almost 2 months, and it's at slightly under 750 million worldwide. It's not going to crack $1 billion. It'll probably maybe hit 850 by the time it's done. Maybe somewhere around there. But that's probably where it's going to end. But like this movie, I think had a budget of like 210 million. So, it did 4 times that. So obviously this is getting a sequel for sure. Everyone's happy with that. Sonic did really well too. Just a little side note. The first Sonic opened with 59 million opening weekend. This one did more. So this one did 72 domestically. So it's up to 142. This, I believe, had a budget of 110. So this needs to make 220 to break even. It'll do that by its second weekend. Apparently, I believe that the reviews for Sonic are pretty good. Let's see, a 67 reviews and 97 audience. So people saw it, loved it. That's going to word of mouth. My buddy saw it. He said it was really good to watch it. I'll probably get it when it comes to pay-per-view on Amazon. But yeah, so that's my take on Morbius.